All right, Eagles fans, take a deep breath because even though the NFL trade deadline has come and gone, the madness is far from over. Things are just starting to heat up in Philadelphia, and you know how it goes. With this team, there's never a quiet week. The front office kept busy even after the deadline passed. And today, Howie Roseman himself faced the media to break down everything that's been happening over the last few days. Let's just say if you thought the Eagles were done improving, you might want to think again. This team is moving like a squad that's got one goal, and one goal only, bringing another Lombardi back to Philly. Now, before we dive into the new faces joining the nest, let's start with some familiar energy coming back onto the field. The Eagles officially opened up the practice window for edge rusher Nolan Smith, and that's huge. Number 3 is back, and man, that's a massive boost for this defense. Anyone who's seen him play knows what he brings. That explosive first step, the bend around the edge, the quickness off the line, and that relentless motor. He's undersized for his position, sure, but his toughness makes him a nightmare for opposing tackles. He can set the edge, chase down plays from the backside, and fire up the whole defense just by being on the field. That's exactly the kind of energy Vic Fangio's unit needs right now. Last year, remember, Nolan had an incredible postseason run, 6 sacks during the regular season, and then another 4 in the playoffs, leading every player in that stretch. He was on fire until that brutal triceps tear in the Super Bowl. And if that wasn't enough bad luck, he aggravated that same injury in Week 3 against the Rams. Despite that, his recovery was insanely fast. The guy was already back in training camp and even started the regular season before the re-injury sent him to injured reserve. But now, he's eligible to return this week. And judging by his own post on Instagram, 1 more week and I'm back. You can tell he's ready to make some noise again. All signs point to him suiting up at Lambeau Field under the primetime lights. And that's exactly where this kind of comeback story belongs. And let's be honest, the Eagles could use that spark on the edge. The pass rush has been a bit up and down this year. Flashes of dominance inside with Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and Moro Ojomo, but not enough consistent pressure from the outside. Ojomo, by the way, leads the team in sacks, which tells you everything about how much the edge has been missing that extra punch. So getting Nolan Smith back changes the equation completely. And when you mix that with the team's newest trade addition, Jalen Phillips, now things start looking spicy. Philly sent over a 3rd-round pick to land him. And considering what Phillips brings, that's a steal. Oh, and guess who else is back? None other than Brandon Graham, out of retirement and back where he belongs. So when you line it all up, you've got Nolan Smith and Jalen Phillips starting on the edges, Josh Uche and Jex Hunt rotating behind them, and Graham serving as that 5th pass rush weapon. That's depth, that's talent, and that's what makes this defensive front one of the most intimidating in football again. Even before his injury, Nolan Smith was quietly playing solid football. He didn't have a sack, but his grades were strong. Over 74 overall from PFF, with solid marks in both run defense and pass rush. He might not light up the stat sheet every week, but what he does on film matters. 8 pressures, 7 hurries, and a ton of disruption that doesn't always show up in the numbers. When you combine his burst and effort with Phillips' versatility, who can line up inside or outside, the Eagles suddenly have one of the most athletic and dynamic edge groups in the league. And speaking of Phillips, this reunion with Fangio could be something special. The last time those two worked together, back in 2023, Phillips racked up 6.5 sacks in just 8 games. That's elite production. The guy's got the frame, the power, and the motor to completely wreck game plans. He told reporters after landing in Philly that he couldn't imagine being anywhere else. And honestly, you can see why. The Eagles have a winning culture, the kind of locker room that thrives on competition, and a coach in Fangio who knows exactly how to unlock his potential. Of course, to make all these moves work, some roster shuffling had to happen. Patrick Johnson was released from the active roster, though it's likely he'll clear waivers and be brought back as depth. The team also released wide receiver Terrace Marshall from the practice squad, probably to open a spot for Johnson if and when he returns. These are the kind of chess moves Howie Roseman makes in his sleep, adjusting, tweaking, making sure there's balance across every position group. And speaking of Howie, the man was busy. Over the past week, he pulled off 3 trades that completely reshaped parts of this team. First came a move from Michael Carter II last Wednesday, an underrated defensive back who's got experience playing both slot and safety. Then, just days later, the Eagles added cornerback Jaire Alexander from Baltimore, a 2-time All-Pro who, when healthy, can shut down almost any receiver in football. And then, as if that wasn't enough, came the Jaelan Phillips trade early Monday morning. 3 deals in less than 7 days. That's vintage Howie Roseman right there. When he spoke to the media, Roseman explained that all these moves were about building versatility and depth, the kind of traits championship teams need when the season starts to grind. With Carter, the Eagles gained someone who's tough against the run and physical enough to shift to safety if needed. With Alexander, they add experience, attitude, and leadership to a secondary that's been tested by injuries all year. And with Phillips, well, they just got themselves a game-changer off the edge. Howie even mentioned how cornerback depth became a huge lesson for this front office earlier in the season, when the team was scrambling with injuries at the position. That experience clearly influenced his approach leading up to the deadline. And for those wondering, no, the Eagles were never trading A.J. Brown. Despite all the speculation flying around online, it just never made sense. He's one of the top receivers in the entire league, a captain, and the emotional heartbeat of this offense. Howie said it best: it's hard to be great without great players. You don't trade away elite talent when your goal is to win the Super Bowl. And that brings us back to the bigger picture. Every move, every adjustment, every little decision points to one thing: the Eagles are all in. Roseman even said that trading for Jaelan Phillips wasn't a tough call because it directly strengthens what this team does best: rushing the passer. We all remember what that defensive line did to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. 16 pressures, 6 sacks, and not a single blitz. That's how you win championships. That's the blueprint. So, when you look at what Philly's doing, it's clear this isn't just about surviving the regular season. This is about setting the tone for January and February. Getting Nolan Smith back healthy, adding Jaelan Phillips to the mix, and bringing in versatile pieces like Carter and Alexander. It's all part of the plan. The Eagles know what they need to be when it matters most: fast, physical, and impossible to block. And if you think the rest of the league didn't notice, think again. The moves coming out of Philadelphia sent a message across every front office in the NFL. This team isn't just playing for playoff spots, they're gunning for the whole thing. The deadline might be over, but the grind, the focus, and the energy, that's just getting started in the city of brotherly love. Across the rest of the league, the trade deadline brought pure chaos. Teams scrambled to fill holes, chase dreams, or offload talent. And honestly, it felt like one of the wildest deadline days we've had in years. Let's start down in Dallas, where the Cowboys actually woke up early and made a move that raised a few eyebrows. Jerry Jones sent a late-round pick to Cincinnati for linebacker Logan Wilson. The guy's been a captain for the Bengals, a smart and steady presence in the middle of that defense. Now, this isn't some blockbuster addition that changes everything overnight, but it's the kind of move you make when you realize your defense has been slipping and you're trying to get some stability. Dallas desperately needed someone who could read the field, get players aligned, and help with tackling efficiency. Wilson's not going to make highlight reels, but he's reliable, and that's something the Cowboys haven't had much of lately on the defensive side. Then you've got Jacksonville stepping up and surprising a lot of people by trading for receiver Jacoby Myers from the Raiders. With Travis Hunter likely done for the season because of that knee injury, the Jaguars needed a proven target who could stretch the field and give their quarterback some help. Myers fits that perfectly. He's smooth, consistent, and doesn't drop passes. The Raiders, on the other hand, get a 4th and a 6th-round pick. Not bad value for a player who didn't seem thrilled about staying in Vegas. For both sides, it makes sense. The Jags keep their offense rolling and their playoff hopes alive, while the Raiders get some draft capital and a little peace of mind heading into another rebuild cycle. Now, if we're talking about moves that blew everyone away, the Jets easily stole the headlines. They traded Sauce Gardner, yes, the same corner they just paid, to the Indianapolis Colts in exchange for 2 first-round picks and receiver Adonai Mitchell. Let that sink in. 2 first-rounders and a young wideout with legitimate upside. It's a monster haul, and the Colts made it clear they're going all in this year. You have to respect the gamble, even if it's risky. Gardner is a generational cornerback talent, and pairing him with that Colts defense could instantly change how opponents attack them. The Jets, meanwhile, stockpile picks and add a weapon for their offense in Mitchell, who's fast, physical, and still has room to grow. It's bold, shocking, and maybe even a little reckless, but that's what makes deadline day great. One move that flew under the radar, but might end up being a sneaky good one, came out of Seattle. The Seahawks traded for wide receiver Rashid Shaheed, one of the league's most underrated playmakers. The guy can flat out fly and adds a deep threat that perfectly complements what they already have. Think about it. You line him up with Jackson, Smith-Njigba, Torrey Horton, and, once he's healthy, Cooper Kupp. That's a nightmare for any defense. Sam Darnold's been playing some of his best football, and now he's got another speedster who can take the top off. The Saints get a couple of mid-round picks, and Seattle gets even scarier. That's how contenders think. They're not satisfied with being good. They're trying to be unguardable. Chicago also jumped into the mix, adding pass rusher Joe Tryon after losing one of their own to injury. Tryon's a former first-round pick, big, explosive, and still full of potential that never quite got unlocked in Tampa Bay. Maybe a change of scenery is exactly what he needs. The Bears needed help up front badly, and this gives him a young player to develop without spending too much in return. It's not flashy, but it's smart football. And then, just when everyone thought the Cowboys were done, they went and pulled off a move that completely shifted the conversation, trading for Quinnen Williams from the Jets. Let's pause for a second. Quinnen Williams is one of the absolute best defensive tackles in the game. His ability to wreck plays, command double teams, and dominate against the run is unmatched. Dallas sent Motzie Smith, a future second-round pick, and a future first-rounder to get him. It's a massive price, and it tells you just how desperate the Cowboys are to fix that defense. They've been getting gashed on the ground week after week, and this is their answer. The only issue? Williams carries a heavy contract, and that cap hit will haunt them for years if things don't pan out. But short-term, there's no denying it. He's a difference maker, and he gives that front seven some serious muscle. Meanwhile, the Chargers made a quieter but necessary move by trading for offensive lineman Trevor Penning. Protection has been a disaster for them this year, and getting a former first-rounder who still has upside might just stabilize things a bit. Penning's had a rocky start to his career, but he's tough and plays with an edge. The Saints get a late-round pick, and both sides walk away with what they need. And just when the dust seemed to settle, the Jets popped back up one last time, flipping quarterback Jur Taylor to the Chargers for a conditional future 7th-round pick. It's the kind of late, under-the-wire move that rarely makes headlines, but still matters, especially for a team that's been juggling its quarterback situation. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The NFL world is buzzing with whispers that could shake the league to its core. Sources close to the Philadelphia Eagles claim the team has formally lodged a complaint with the league after a series of controversial plays during last Sunday's matchup. While the NFL has not yet confirmed the details, insiders suggest that new footage circulating online might be far more damning than anything previously seen. The images reportedly show a series of questionable hits and unsportsmanlike conduct that some analysts are calling unprecedented in recent memory. According to Eagles insiders, the team is demanding swift action, and the league has reportedly promised sanctions pending a full review. The timing is crucial, as tensions between franchises are already high this season, and the prospect of fines, suspensions, or other disciplinary measures could ripple through the league. Fans and commentators alike are dissecting every frame of the footage, with social media exploding over what some are calling the most shocking sequence of plays this year. Analysts are split, however, with some arguing the images could be taken out of context or exaggerated for dramatic effect, a common occurrence in the digital age. The rumor mill is now in overdrive, with speculation ranging from star players being targeted to hidden rivalries finally boiling over on the field. One anonymous source claimed, if the league doesn't act, it could set a dangerous precedent. The Eagles are making sure everyone knows they're serious. Meanwhile, fan forums are rife with heated debates, memes, and countdowns to the league's official statement. Some even suggest that the fallout could influence team strategy for the remainder of the season, as coaches and players try to anticipate potential suspensions or other punishments. While the NFL maintains an official stance of confidentiality, the buzz is undeniable. Something big may be brewing behind closed doors. If the rumors hold true, the league could face one of its most talked-about disciplinary moments in recent memory, and the Eagles may find themselves at the center of a storm that extends far beyond the field. For now, fans are left glued to screens, refreshing feeds, and watching every highlight as speculation runs wild. One thing is certain: the chatter isn't dying down anytime soon, and the next official word from the league could send shockwaves across the NFL landscape. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.